The shadow in the mirror. It started on a Thursday afternoon. A gray day with cold wind. A day that felt strange, but I didn't know why. I was walking through the city without a plan when I saw the antique shop. It was small and dark, hidden between two modern buildings. The door was open a little, like it was inviting me inside. I don't know why I went in. Maybe it was the smell of old books and wood. Maybe it was just curiosity. Inside, it was darker than I expected. The shop looked endless, full of furniture, paintings, and old things stacked on top of each other. But my eyes stopped on the mirror. It stood in a corner, half hidden behind a cupboard. A big, rectangular mirror with a wooden frame covered in beautiful carvings. The wood was dark and shiny in the dim light. The glass had small cracks, like tiny lightning bolts. But there was something more. Something I couldn't explain. The mirror looked alive. "That one is not for sale," a voice said behind me. I turned around and saw the shop owner. He was a small man with glasses that were too big for his face. "Why not?" I asked. My voice was quieter than I expected. The man hesitated. "It brings bad luck," he said. "Customers don't like it. They say they see things that aren't there." I laughed. "It's just a mirror." His face became serious. "Sometimes, things are not what they seem." Then he told me a price. It was too low, like he just wanted to get rid of it. I paid without asking questions and carried the mirror outside myself. At home, I placed the mirror in my living room, right in front of my couch. It looked perfect. I stared at my reflection. It was me, but something felt strange. Like there was a small distance between me and my reflection. That night, I had strange dreams. In my dream, I stood in front of the mirror. But my reflection didn't move like me. It just stared at me. It even smiled. I woke up with my heart beating fast. The next morning, I tried to forget the dream. But while brushing my teeth, I noticed something. In my bathroom mirror, in the reflection, I saw the living room mirror in the background. That was impossible. My living room was not visible from here. I turned around quickly. Of course, nothing was there. In the next days, strange things started to happen. Sometimes, I heard soft noises, like whispers. They always came from the mirror. I tried not to look at it. But my eyes kept going back to the glass. One evening, I was sitting on the couch, reading a book. The room was quiet. Then I heard it. A voice. Soft, low, and clear. It said my name. Anna. I jumped up and looked at the mirror. My reflection stared back at me. But something was wrong. The face looked like mine, but the eyes, the smile, it was different. My breath stopped. I wanted to run, but my body felt heavy. Slowly, I walked closer. Then, in the glass, I saw something. A shadow. A dark figure stood behind me. I turned around quickly. The room was empty. A cold feeling spread through my chest. Something was very, very wrong with this mirror. I needed to get rid of it. I decided to remove the mirror. It felt like it was taking something from me, like it was filling my mind with darkness. But when I took the mirror off the wall, something fell out of the wooden frame. It was an old black and white photo. A man's portrait, probably from the 1930s. He wore a suit and had a serious expression on his face. But his smile, it was exactly like the smile my reflection had made. Who was he? Why was his photo inside the mirror? That night, the whispers weren't the only strange sounds I heard. There were footsteps outside my door. Then, the door to my living room creaked open slowly. I was sure I was alone. But I felt it. Someone was watching me. Every time I looked at the mirror, the man in the photo seemed to be closer. His eyes followed me. His smile grew wider. I covered the mirror with a cloth, but it didn't help. The man appeared in my dreams. He stood next to my bed, his cold eyes staring at me. One morning, I noticed the photo was gone. I searched my entire apartment, but it was like the photo had never existed. Then, when I looked at the mirror again, I saw where it had gone. The man's face was now in the glass itself. It was faint, almost like a shadow, but I could see it clearly. He was trapped inside the mirror. I knew I had to get rid of the mirror, but every time I tried to move it, something stopped me. There was an invisible force holding me back. On the last night, as I lay in bed, I heard the voice again. This time, it wasn't soft. It was loud and close. Anna, you belong to me. I jumped up and looked around. There he was. The man stood in the room, his face clear and real. His eyes were empty, and his smile was crooked. He reached his hand toward me. With all the strength I had, I ran to the mirror. I threw it on the floor. The glass shattered into 1,000 pieces. A cold wind filled the room. When it was quiet again, I felt a strange sense of relief. The next day, I took the broken pieces of the mirror and threw them in the trash. But sometimes, when I walk past a mirror, I feel something. For a brief moment, it feels like I see his smile again, just for a second. I don't know what happened with the mirror. Was the man real? Was he a part of my imagination? I will never know. But I will never forget the feeling of being watched. I will never forget the cold, empty smile.